Good afternoon and welcome everybody to the WBCB 1490 network as we are here at Veterans Park for the 7th annual International Overdose Awareness Day. And thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us out and making today possible. Thank you to Angelo Onifrey of the Mercer County Prosecutor Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, and the Township of Hamilton, and Mayor Jeff Martin, and letting us host it today here at Veterans Park. And sitting next to me, none other than himself, Angelo Onifrey. How you doing, Angelo?
Good, Gus. Thanks for being here again this year. It's great that we've got an absolutely perfect day today, unlike last year where I think we melted. And as always, we're fortunate to have one of the truly great supporters for the recovery movement here in New Jersey, my friend, Assemblyman Anthony Varelli.
Thank you, Angelo.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you for inviting me.
Anthony, overdoses have been just staggering here in New Jersey. And what's going on in the Assembly and in the legislature to combat overdoses?
There's a lot of things we've been doing in the Assembly, in the legislature, regarding overdoses, whether it be say talking about things that we weren't comfortable talking about before, like how to help people after they have an overdose, okay, whether it be through Narcan. You know, Narcan wasn't very popular a short time ago, but now it's in different drugstores, it's in medical buses, EMS people, and everybody has access to it. Training is out there and available, and more importantly, the Narcan is available to help someone who is going through an overdose at a time. And it's helped a lot of people, saved a lot of lives. That's one of the things in other legislation to help get more funding for different programs, new looks, kind of outside the box sometimes with what we have going today as far as like outside the box therapies and treatments. I mean, we know what's kind of working, and we're not getting the great results that we're looking for, to save lives. And we got to bring things in that are a little different, just like the Narcan was. So that's some of the things we're doing.
And speaking of the Narcan, we just have to mention that, here in Mercer County, every patrol car, every detective's car has Narcan in it, and that's thanks to the great partnership that we have with Capital Health and Dr. Al Magazi.
Yeah.
They saw early on the benefit of Narcan and equipping the officers who are always there first on the scene. And I think through Capital Health, they've saved countless lives through the Narcan program.
No, that is true.
We agree. So, Anthony, you are here every year. You're a great supporter of this event. What does it mean to you to see all these people coming out and being together?
It means that we've lost a lot of people to the opioid crisis. A lot of people have died, and these are friends and family. So in New Jersey, we lost 3,000 residents due to overdose this year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 3,000 people. 3,000 is the number, but each one in that number is an individual, okay? A father, a son, a brother, a mother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle. We have to look at it that way, and I believe we're all here today for the ones that have passed away and to maybe help the ones that can be able to stay. You use because you use, okay? Right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent. It's a substance use disorder. It's a disease of addiction, and you look around. Tomorrow, some of the people won't be here that are here tonight behind the opioid crisis. And unfortunately, they'll OD and die. And I've lost count of how many friends and people I know that I worked with or worked for or worked for me, and people in the community that are no longer here. Beautiful tonight, great tonight, tomorrow they're not here.
Yeah.
They didn't go to bed thinking they were going to OD tomorrow.
And it's one of those tragedies where we kind of hope we never have to do this event again, that we can overcome the addiction effort, the addiction crisis, but we're now being faced with fentanyl and xylene and other new drugs that are even more potent than the fentanyl, and we are we need to get that message out. But, you know, I always thought that nights like tonight also give some hope, because there's other people who have similar experiences. There are people out here remembering their loved ones, and there are people out here who are saying, no more stigmas. We can talk about this.
I agree. I think the stigmas are starting to wipe clean. In every facet of society, addiction is present. Opioid use is present. It doesn't discriminate. It shows no quarter. It takes no prisoners. It wants the addict dead. And everybody here tonight has lost someone they were related to, or a friend, or a community member, and they're here to support that, because if someone passes, that doesn't mean they're gone and they're done and they die and they go away. We have to keep their memory alive in our hearts, minds, and in our actions. So we have to all be here for each other. It's traumatic to lose 3,000 people, but we live with that trauma daily as people still being here. So we have to reach out and help and support and try to make it better and try to understand.
Yeah. Assemblyman, thanks for joining us today. As always, thanks for being here to support this, and please keep up the great fight that you're doing in Trenton.
Thank you, Angela, for your partnership and all the hard work you and your department does. I'm grateful to be here and honored and humbled. So thank you,
Assemblyman. And I think we have our mayor of Hamilton Township, Jeff Martin.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor.
Evening, everybody. How's everybody?
Doing well.
Good.
Thank you first off for bringing this great event back to beautiful Veterans Park here in Hamilton Township, and thanks for having it pretty close to my house.
I was going to say, it doesn't hurt to be across the street, right?
Not at all.
No, we're honored to host again, and picked a beautiful evening and great turnout. There's still people walking up, so I think it's going to be for an unfortunate thing to have to be aware of. It's a great event to have.
Mayor, I asked Assemblyman Varelli this question, but what does a night like this mean to you as the mayor of Hamilton?
So I think it's bringing this issue out of the darkness. You know, I think for so long, including myself, people wanted to pretend it didn't happen, pretend it wasn't around, not talk about it, right? If it was going on in your family, it was something you didn't talk about with others, and it caused that stress and anxiety to go up, even in loved ones. And I think it's bringing to light that it is here, that there are people suffering with addiction issues, that there are people we've lost due to overdoses, and that if you or a loved one are going through it, you're not alone, right? People have been there before you, and it's just something good to know you're not alone in.
And I think seeing the crowd tonight too, Mayor, kind of says that this can happen to anyone. Any race, color, creed, socioeconomic status, anyone can be impacted by addiction.
Absolutely. At any time, right? There's no one age group either that's impacted by it.
True. And, you know, Mayor, bringing this back to Veterans Park, where this event first started, is pretty special. It's a beautiful venue. It's a great opportunity for people to mingle. Again, it's a beautiful night. And you have really been on the front lines and a warrior. You have brought this issue to light here in Hamilton Township, where other government leaders may be trying to say, no, it doesn't. I don't have it in my town. But even when you were the council president, you thought that it was incredibly important for us to go into the schools, not only to talk to the students, but also to talk to the parents, to let them know what they need to look for.
Well, it's great to have great partnerships. Obviously, we have it with you in your office, but at the time we had it with then School Board President Sue Lombardo. And again, a holistic kind of view on this in partnering township government, school board, and school district Before me, obviously, was Kevin Mira, right? And now he has his City of Angels organization. So partnering with non-governmental organizations to continue to talk about it in a variety of contexts. So what all I've tried to do is when people have good ideas, listen and be open to them and help execute them. Because I certainly don't have all the good ideas in the world, and we're lucky in Hamilton. We have so many people that there's bound to be good ideas from a lot of different people.
That's true. But you really have been on the front line, Mayor, and you've been a warrior in this effort, and you have brought people together. And that's something pretty special.
I appreciate that.
Around an issue. And just maybe we can leave the audience with this. I know the first game of the year, the Jets play the Bills. What are your thoughts about that one?
Well, the nice part about being a Bills fan is in this area, nobody hates on you, right? You're not picking Jets, Giants, or Eagles. You're not picking Cowboys, right? Nobody hates on a Bills fan. So I'm at a 16-0 or 17-0. I think they're now record Super Bowl champions, my prediction. So let's do what the Patriots couldn't. That's my view on it.
Well, as a Jets fan, Mayor, I'll root for the Bills on the days when they're not playing the Jets. But other than that,
it's a great division this year, right? So I'm looking forward to it, and I think, I found for those who are just listening on the radio, a little baseball stress ball here that one of the nonprofits was giving out. But sports is such a great outlet for people, right? To get that endorphin high instead of an opioid high, right? You see City of Angels has their baseball team, and connecting with people through something like sports can be the moment of change that somebody needs in their life to not wind up having an overdose. So I don't mind talking sports, right? And especially it can be, like I said, a good outlet for those who are going through a difficult time.
No, and that's a great point, Mayor. And even the Prevention Coalition, who's our co-host here today, has brought that message to the athletic directors and to the sports coaches all throughout the county. Mm-hmm. Just saying it's not worth getting a kid addicted to try to get him back on the field really quick. Yeah. And and the efforts that the Prevention Coalition is also doing with all of the emergency room and the orthopedic doctors and the surgeons through their Do No Harm conferences, it really is something pretty special.
Yeah, and the athletic directors, especially in Hamilton, when we did the event through Sue Lombardo in the school district, right, they made the sports teams and the sports players sit in through it. Just last year I went to an event, and it was Ray Lewis, the old Jets quarterback who came to Nottingham High School, right? And again, it was a requirement for the sports players to be there. So I appreciate all the work you're doing. Appreciate you having us again here in Hamilton. And as long as you keep living across the street, we're open to keep having it here too.
Thanks, Mayor. It couldn't be any better here, and this event is back home where it belongs.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank
you
for
all your
very
support,
much.
and thank you for always being there.
Of course.
And looks like we also have Assemblywoman Verlena Reynolds-Jackson with us this evening. Good to see you, Assemblywoman.
Thank you very much, man. My honor. I appreciate it. I'll reach out to you tomorrow.
Assemblyman Varelli broke those, so we apologize.
I believe it. He wears an extra, extra large. I'm an extra, extra small.
Assemblywoman, you have been one of the people in the forefront of the recovery movement in New Jersey. What does this night mean to you?
This means family, right? This is family and friends coming together full of hope. It means that you're not alone in this, and as we mourn the loss of our family and friends, I get the energy here is of resilience. It's us coming together to provide resources. We were talking about the family festival that's going to be coming up on the 23rd, and I was asking the Department of Health, I was like, are you going to be there? Like, again, we can't separate our awareness or hide from addiction, mental health services. It's all encompassing, and this should be a part of it. So they said, we don't know, but if not, we will be. And so I think that's the great thing about bringing out the community to these events and using this platform. Thank you so much for being here and airing this on your show to make this a part of our conversations.
Absolutely. We always love coming out here and being able to do this and kind of provide this outlet for people that aren't able to come and be here in person.
Yeah. And to, again, I don't think I could say it enough, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. I've been a supporter, our family, our friends. I don't think anyone can say they don't know someone that hasn't been affected by opioids. For, unfortunately, it's more than 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And so, it may be someone's first year, it may be someone's first week, it may be someone's 10th anniversary, but the feeling of that loss of that loved one doesn't go away. But to be able to manage, to be able to give hope to another family, to say, we're here, we understand what you're going through, and these are some resources of all of us to support you while you go through this. We're here for you, and I see you. And I think that's what this is all about, us being together.
Part of what brought everything to light was really Governor Christie saying, it's okay to talk about this. It's okay. It's a disease.
Yeah.
And he used, several different examples of diseases and how people talked about those. But there was always the stigma attached to overdose. But I think we see it can happen to anyone. It can happen to any family. Even the quote, good families. It can happen to anyone. And by bringing it out into the light and everyone coming together, I think it sends that message that it's okay to talk about, it's okay to grieve, but more importantly, it's important to remember the ones that we lost.
Absolutely. And to be able to give support to those that, may be just on the verge, thinking that depression, thinking that these other outside influences won't go away or that it doesn't get better, because it does. It does get better, and there is hope, and we can talk about it. And I think the more we talk about it, the more the stigma goes away. And again, we're making this a part of our everyday conversations. We talk about peanut allergies, we talk about gun safety. We should be talking about behavioral health and mental health and awareness and why we should try these different alternatives and why we should be out here supporting one another and why the funding that we need for these programs need to increase, because that's part of the bigger problem, that people want to go for help and then they're turned away when they don't have the help that they need. Beds are full. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the therapists. They don't have the resources to pay. And we have a lot of programs out here today that, from what I've been talking to, all say the same thing. They don't have enough funding to do their programs to help families, more families. And so we have to do our part by being a part of that supportive system.
Yeah, and it's clearly needed. Just according to the state's dashboard for the Drug Monitoring Index, as of today, there's been 1,365 drug overdose deaths just to today in New Jersey.
Wow.
And here in Mercer County, it's estimated that we have about 61 at this point. And that's with Narcan and everything else being available. But a lot of these new drugs that are coming out, the xylene and fentanyl.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting our formal event in 3 minutes. If you could make your way over here, we would like to start our formal event. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Assemblywoman, as always, I know you're speaking today, so we want to get you up on stage. And as always, thank you for being here, and thank you for being one of those strong voices in Trenton and for an advocate. And I think we just need to give a plug to you with everything that you're doing in the community in the inner city to help kids as they go back to school. and that really shows the person you are.
I want to thank you and your office for bringing that olive branch in the community. You know, to be here to say we're not just about lock them up and put them away. We're here to be supportive if you need help. And this is what we're talking about when we say community policing. This is an amazing event to say we have officers here, we have programs here to help, and that's what this is all about. So you having a phenomenal team, and I want to thank you for your continued partnership in putting this together. 7 years is a long time, and it keeps getting better and better and better. So thank you.
It does. Our pleasure, Assemblywoman. Thanks as always.
You're welcome.
Great seeing you.
You too.
Gus, I'll turn it back to you.
Alrighty, thank you, Angelo, and great interview, and just an absolute fantastic event here. You see the crowd is getting bigger and bigger by the minute, and we're going to take a quick break, get a couple commercials in, and we'll be right back as we get some some speeches started right here.
Capital Health's primary care network continues to grow, bringing its extensive option of locations to your neighborhood. Whether you're scheduling a wellness checkup or not feeling well, advanced medicine starts with a Capital Health primary care doctor at locations near you in Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. To find a Capital Health primary care location that's convenient for you, visit capitalmedicalgroup.org. That's capitalmedicalgroup.org. Merrill Reese, here to tell you about my good friends at Haldeman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldeman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldeman does in their huge, state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldeman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldeman for sales and service. Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Hi, this is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I'm proud to help sponsor today's show and promote what's happening in our community. All residents of your hometown should stay involved and participate in community activities, whether it's volunteering to help make your town clean, or volunteering at the animal shelter, or helping at a local youth event. Staying involved in your community makes your hometown a great place to live. This is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Hi, this is Mayor Jeff Martin of Hamilton Township, inviting you to tune in to our monthly radio show, This Month in Hamilton. Video stream live the fourth Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. at WBCB1490.com. We will be featuring various guests from Hamilton Township to keep you up to date on what's going on in Hamilton.
Capital Health's primary care network continues to grow, bringing its extensive option of locations to your neighborhood. Whether you're scheduling a wellness checkup or not feeling well, advanced medicine starts with a Capital Health primary care doctor at locations near you in Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. To find a Capital Health primary care location that's convenient for you, visit capitalmedicalgroup.org. That's capitalmedicalgroup.org.
Getting that together and coming forward, I'd appreciate that.
And we are back here at Veterans Park as the speeches are just about to get underway. Everybody's finding their seats. Everybody's getting a good shady spot as we have some beautiful weather here as Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree on talking to a couple different people. Mayor Jeff Martin, Assemblyman Anthony Varelli, Assemblywoman Varelli Reynolds Jackson. So an excellent job with those couple interviews, and after some speeches we'll have a couple more interviews to talk to. I think we have Chief Rob Garofalo coming up of West Windsor, and I'm not sure anybody else, but the speeches part is just about to get underway. If you don't know exactly who is going to be up first or what's going to happen, but they'll introduce them, of course, as Beautiful, beautiful out here. Get some dogs getting walked around in the park. Got some food trucks in the back. I know I am going to try to hit those food trucks afterwards. I don't know about everybody else, but they look fantastic. Got a Narcan training session later in the evening as well, so that should be a fun thing to see. I don't know if it's informative, I should say. Maybe not as fun, if not informative. But speech is just about to start here at Veterans Park in the Township of Hamilton.
Probably that's it. Yes.
Heard that, right? I did. I'm going to text Reed.
Amazing. Luckily, it's a mixed audience.
No, you keep yours. No, you need more than that.
I know, that's what Can I be anywhere? Actually, Melissa, do you have to stay sitting here?
Melissa, where do you sit over there?
You gotta go next door. Looks like they're on
Mercer County.
Yes, isn't she wonderful? So glad to have her here.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Mercer Council, the Prevention Coalition of Mercer County, and all of our amazing partnerships, the Prosecutor's Office, Footprints to Recovery, and so many more. I just want to look at my list here. Especially, we would be amiss if we didn't thank the Township of Hamilton. I have met such hard-working, dedicated leaders in public works, in recreation, in the mayor's office, in the health office, with the Municipal Alliance. So many wonderful people. The police department, I don't want to leave anyone out because everyone has been such a big help. And we're so thankful for the partnerships that we have, for our amazing vendors who are here, for our amazing families who are sharing their loved ones with us, for those who are on their own recovery journey, wherever you are, we welcome you, and we are so glad you're here. Law enforcement, thank you for being our partners for several years as well. We are so grateful for our dignitaries and our local leaders that work hard with policy, with meeting families, with meeting healthcare workers to see how we can improve as a whole to help stop this. My name is Melissa Arnold, and many of you have probably received an email from me at some point, and I'm sorry if I was bugging you in the last couple of weeks, but this is something that I'm very passionate about. This is my sixth time being a part of this organization, a part of this event, and every year I hear stories. Every year I hug loved ones. Every year I think of how much I would love to work myself out of a job. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to not have to worry about this? But we are here, and our goals for this evening, there are at least 3. There's several more if you talk to me long enough. But one of the main goals that we have here is to remember that the people that we've lost to overdose, or people who've experienced to overdose, that does not define them. They were people before this one thing. They're somebody's daughter, somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody who is loved, who has talents, who had a lot for this world. And we want to change just that idea that overdose defines that person. Second thing, we want to break the stigmas that surround addiction and overdose. We want to get people help. We want them to feel confident getting that help and not feel ashamed or embarrassed. We want people to understand this disease better. And thirdly, we want to encircle families who either have someone who is struggling or who has lost somebody, and we want to give you love and support and any resources that you need. And that's why we do this event every year. And this is why we will continue until nobody needs those things anymore. As I said, I would love to work myself out of a job. Mercer Council is a prevention organization, but we also understand the value of harm reduction. That's why we have so many partners here that are dedicated to Narcan, testing, getting help with MAT, getting help with recovery. We have our ORP team, which is opioid overdose response program, to get people the help that they need. That's why we have footprints here to remember that people are on different steps of their journey, and we're here to support every step of the way. So without further ado, we have more important people to listen to. So with that, we would love to have Caitlin Allen, who is with the Mercer Council, to sing our national anthem for us, followed by a prayer by our pastor, Will Kaufman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet and the home of the brave.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Father and creator of all, maker of all mankind, we're here to recognize a struggle. We're here to recognize those that have overcome overdose and addiction. We're also here to recognize those that died in their addiction. Whether our hearts are grieving for those we've lost, or whether our hearts are celebrating those that have overcome, we ask that you would honor this time. And most of all, we ask that you would change the hearts of people, that this addiction would go away. This we ask in the name of all that is created and all that is righteous. Amen.
Thank you so much, both of those. They were beautiful. We would now like to have our welcome with the Honorable Jeff Martin, the Mayor of Hamilton. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Melissa, and welcome everybody. It's an honor to have you here in beautiful Hamilton Township at Veterans Park. Not only did we provide a great venue, obviously, but we also provided the weather, so you're all welcome for that as well. Melissa mentioned a lot of people who make tonight possible from a lot of different organizations, but I just want to make sure I recognize our township employees who made tonight possible. Under the direction of our new police chief, Ken Dabosky, we had our police department directing traffic. We have our Public Works Department under Chuck Thomas taking care of the grounds, and our Health Department under our Health Officer, Chris Helwig. We also have many of our council members here tonight, our Council President, Chuddy Whalen, and two of our council members, Pat Paparo and Nancy Phillips as well. Evenings, you can clap for them, I'll take it. Evenings like this are so important because we're all able to talk about what people around this country, around this state, and around the county are going through with their addiction issues. Many years ago, you didn't talk about things like this. An event like this couldn't be possible because it's not only the person who's struggling with addiction, it's their loved ones. It's their parents, their children, their siblings, their cousins, their friends, their loved ones who are also going through the stress, the anxiety, and the unknown. Many years they had nobody to turn to as well, to ask questions, to look to for support. It's nights like this where you're able to look around and see all the people who are now actively talking about addiction, who are now there to actively help out, who have been through the journey that somebody today is going through. So I just want to thank all of you for making it a priority in your evening as we're going into a holiday weekend, for being here tonight, for what you do each and every day, either for yourself or a loved one, or maybe for those you don't even know, to get them through a difficult time in life. It is so imperative that there really are partnerships from your local government, your county government, your state and federal government to make sure, hopefully, we don't have to do this event next year, but if we do, there is support for those who are going through it. If I can just take a moment here, while we're in Hamilton, there are elected officials from around the county, from different forms of government. You'll be hearing from many of them, but I just want to recognize a few who did come out tonight, who I got a chance to see. From our Hamilton Township School District, Stacy Byrne is here as well. From Robbinsville, Councilwoman Chris Chiacco. And I'm sorry if I didn't see you. You should have come up and said hello because I'm otherwise missing you. But it is so great to have elected officials from different forms of government and from all around the county here tonight to make sure people know that we care. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. And there goes my program. Thank you so much. One thing that I wanted to mention that the mayor mentioned is coming out on Labor Day, the week before Labor Day. If people question, it is International Overdose Awareness Day. This was started in Australia. So whenever people say, why would you do this the week before Labor Day? I say, blame the Australians. So just so you know. But again, this is an amazing turnout. We're so glad that you're all here. We are so excited to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Caitlin Baston. She is the acting commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Health. She is passionate about those with addiction challenges. She's made it her life work, and we're so happy to have her here. Dr. Baston.
Good evening. I know that this is a sad event as we're gathering together for many because we're remembering those that we've all lost. But I have to say I am heartened and filled by so many familiar faces and people that keep showing up time and time again to fight this disease. So thank you for being here with me, and thank you for having me to celebrate this day with all of you. A couple other thanks before I start. Thank you to Mercer Council and the Prevention Coalition, Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Footprints to Recovery, Township of Hamilton, and the many other officials and organizations that I've been fortunate enough to meet tonight. Thank you for introducing yourselves, for saying hello to me, and for supporting this work. It means a lot to me, and I'll tell you a little bit why. So for those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Caitlin Baston. As they said, I'm the Acting Commissioner for Health for the Department of Health for our state. I'm also a family medicine physician, and I'm an addiction physician. And I spent the last 8 years working in Camden, New Jersey, fighting this disease on the front lines. So that is why this is my life work. And I'm honored to be here alongside you today, as I've said, to honor and remember the people we've lost, but also to focus on those who are still struggling and say we stand with you, and to stand with the families of the families that are worried every day that this might be the last day that they see their loved one, right? That is why we are here. And we all know that we can't fully honor the lives of those we've lost if we do it from a place of stigma and shame. And as I look out in this crowd, the thing that excites me is that I don't see shame. I don't see people pushing addiction under the rug, right? I don't see people turning the other way. I see strength in this crowd. I see the strength that builds when we love and support each other in our grief. I see the strength that it takes not just to admit that you have an addiction, but to shout out loud that I am someone with addiction, or I am someone in recovery, or someone I love is in addiction or recovery. I see the strength that it takes every day to just survive when you're in active addiction. I got to watch that strength and grow from that every day for the past 8 years. And that's what gives me hope, because I know that together, these people that I'm looking out at today, we have strength in numbers, and that we will demand a kinder, safer, more equitable New Jersey for people with addiction. Last year, 3,000 people lost their lives from overdose in our state, and over 100,000 people died nationally from overdose. And while we are finally seeing rates of overdose death decline in the white population, we are seeing them continually rise for Black and brown New Jerseyans. The overdose mortality rate increased almost 21% for Black residents and 17% for Hispanic residents from 2020 to 2021. We can do better. And I say that confidently because we have amazing medical treatments for addiction. I'm in the medical field, right? And I'm a family medicine physician. And I can tell you all that when someone has a heart attack, thankfully, we have an amazing medical system, right? Your loved one has a heart attack, we call EMS, we get them to an emergency room. They are given medicine and comfort medicine in that ambulance immediately. They are rushed into the door of an emergency room. A team of people rushes out to them to follow a protocol that we have when someone has a heart attack. We have protocols for this that are so descriptive that from the minute someone hits the door of an emergency room, they are supposed to get a procedure if it's needed within 90 minutes. That is how we treat heart attacks in this country, which is amazing, by the way, right? And the treatments for opioid overdose are just as good as the medical treatments that we have for heart attacks. So the day that I see when somebody overdoses, they are rushed to an emergency room. A team of people come out from the back, right? That person is surrounded. They are given comfort medicines. They are given life-saving medication treatment in that moment as soon as they can, and they leave the emergency room with that treatment. That is the day that I will know we have made it for this disease, right? And that is the day that we can stop gathering over and over again for those 3,000 lives. We will see that number tick down when we start using medication. The problem with this disease is not just that the disease has stigma, just like mental health and other things it does, but the medication treatments also have stigma. Right? I can't imagine as a family doctor, somebody else's family saying, "Oh man, you're still taking that cholesterol medicine? You know, isn't that just a crutch?" We don't say that to our family. We say, "Yo, you should probably take that medicine that doctor gave you, right? So you don't have another heart attack." And that is how we should be talking about addiction. My goal in this role is to empower communities with this knowledge and this information, because knowledge is power, right? We will get the information to you. Our dream is that you know what medications are available and where to get them so that New Jerseyans can make the best decisions for themselves and their families when they need it. We are working at a state level to do the best we can to roll out programs to support this work, right? Free naloxone. We rolled out naloxone 365 that everybody should know about, because anybody age 13 and up can go to a participating pharmacy and get emergency naloxone free and anonymously, so that they can get what they need to save someone else's life, right? Usually you're saving a friend's life, a neighbor's life. That's why we want you to all take that naloxone that you can get. Our first responders, if we could all just take a minute and give our law enforcement and EMS and other first responders a round of applause, please. Our first responders have given more naloxone every single year. It's gone up again. Even in the beginning part of 2023, we are saving more lives on the ground by reversing overdose. But one of the things I'm most proud of in this state is that New Jersey was the first state in the country to take that to another step. We said you don't just have to reverse this overdose over and over and over on the ground. We're actually going to give our paramedics medicine so that you can start treating addiction right there on the field with buprenorphine, right? And we were the first state to do that in the nation, and now other states are copying what we've done in New Jersey. We are making headway to save lives. And harm reduction, right? Many people have talked about harm reduction today. Governor Murphy signed legislation to decriminalize harm reduction supplies and expand harm reduction centers in the state. And I am very happy to report the first new harm reduction center in 5 years has been approved and is opening, and there is funding for more. Thank you. Harm reduction centers do so much more than just preventing infection, right? They make a safe, stigma-free environment where people can walk in and engage and get connected to the treatment they need. Our vision for New Jersey is that addiction will be treated like any other run-of-the-mill chronic disease. I want this to be as boring as talking to the doctor about hypertension or high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol, right? I'm a family doctor. I want to be able to talk to you about addiction like I talk to you about everything else. And my goal is that any person could walk into any clinic at any time on any day and get life-saving medication treatment for this disease. Earlier this week, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King gave one of the most impressive, visionary speeches of our time. And that stuck with us all because it was such an important message that we still need to hear over and over again today to fight for equity, right? Not just because of the statistics that I showed earlier or talked about that, we need to make sure that we're thinking about equity as we treat this disease, but also because treating addiction is also about equity. It's about bringing people who are struggling in the shadows into the light and treating them with dignity. Dr. King taught us that we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So I stand with you here today, with my voice, in solidarity, and I declare that together we can put an end to this needless loss of life. I will take this moment to just hand this over to one of the real heroes of this hour, a colleague of mine, Mr. James Bronson, who agreed to come up and tell his personal story to all of you today.
Thanks. I'd like to thank the organizers for giving me a couple of minutes of your time, and to you, and especially to Commissioner Baston for asking me here to speak for a minute. My name is James Bronson, and I'm a data analyst and a data visualization specialist in the Center for Health Statistics at the Department of Health. I'm actually an employee of the CDC Foundation, and I was brought in as surge staffing to support Overdose Data to Action, which is a really important federal grant on this issue. I'm not here to talk about DOH or CDC Foundation or Overdose to Action or anything else. I'm here because I'm an addict in recovery, and I'm a 3-time opioid overdose survivor in the state of New Jersey. So it's either supreme irony or proof that there are no mistakes that I work on databases that I am also in at the Department of Health. And just so you know, they didn't dress me for this event. I have a T-shirt on. If you're in back, it's got a little tiny print on it. It says Overdose Survivor. And I had this custom made a few weeks ago because I decided that for me, I needed to stand up and be seen. And it was just my little act of defiance, my little act of standing up in my office. So you can imagine, what an honor it is to be able to speak to you all here real quickly. If we want to change the conversation about drug use and overdose, we need to speak out and be seen. We need to show that recovery is possible and that people who use drugs, people who are in recovery, and overdose survivors are all around us. We're your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members, your friends. We're young and old, rich and poor, black and white and brown. This disease of addiction truly does not discriminate. And we're not bad people who need to get good. We're good, we're sick people who need to get well. And many, many of us do, but we need help. I was extremely fortunate to survive my overdoses. I was lucky to be found in time, lucky that the person who found me knew CPR and could keep oxygen flowing to my brain long enough for the police to arrive. Lucky that the police in my town carried Narcan. And especially lucky that when I was ready, my family was able to afford top-notch treatment, which so many cannot afford. And they were willing to support me while I got better. But there's nothing special about me. I'm no better, no worse, no more or less deserving of surviving and finding a way to thrive than any other person who uses drugs in this state. I'm not special. There's no reason that I should be alive and able to stand here and speak to you today when so many are dying. Most of all, the opportunities that I had should be available to everyone. Privilege should not be a marker of surviving this crisis. So I'm a numbers guy. And I had one statistic that I wanted to share with you, and it's one that you heard already from Commissioner Baston. And I don't think in this audience I have to remind you of something that I always try to remind myself every day because I work with numbers. That each one of these numbers is a life lost, a real actual person, a person with hopes and dreams, struggles and triumphs, with people they love and people who love them. Every overdose death represents a family and a community forever changed for the worse. So about 3,000 people die each year from drug overdoses in New Jersey. Because I'm a numbers nerd, I did a little math. That's roughly the equivalent of a Boeing 737 MAX 7 crashing every 18 days with no survivors. Can you imagine what kind of response would be demanded if we had a jetliner crashing with no survivors every 18 days in the state of New Jersey, and what kind of response we would get? Now, don't get me wrong. It's my personal view that New Jersey really does care, and I've seen a lot of positive change in the way we're understanding and tackling this crisis. The question is whether we really have the commitment to ramp it up and finish the job. There's a lot more to do, and I think ultimately it will say a lot about us as a community if we can find the conviction, the bravery, and the compassion to provide every state resident with an environment where they can survive an overdose and the resources that they need to transition into long, happy, productive lives. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Baston. We would now like to turn the microphone over to our longstanding partner, Prosecutor Onifree.
Thanks, Melissa. Doctor, everyone, thank you for being here. Really inspiring words. Thank you. You know, we're privileged here today because we have some of our great legislators here who are on the front lines every day. And they're part of that movement. They are part of those advocates that are trying to get more money for these, to fund the treatment centers, to fund the Narcan, to fund everything that's needed here so that no one has to be turned away. And I'd just like to recognize them. My friend, Senator Linda Greenstein. Representing the 15th District, or as they're known, the Fighting 15th. Anthony Varelli and Verlina Reynolds-Jackson. And my longtime friend and high school classmate, Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo. And Assemblyman Varelli just said Wayne does look a lot older than me. I'll take that. You know, there's a lot of times we can talk about statistics and that says everything, but honestly, when I started in the prosecutor's office 26 years ago, I could have never envisioned myself in an event like this. 26 years ago, all we did was prosecute people who had and used drugs. And then my eyes got opened. And the commissioner said that this is a disease, and it is indeed a disease. It's no different than diabetes. It's no different than high blood pressure. It's no different than high cholesterol. All three of which, by the way, Commissioner, I have. It's no different. And I learned a valuable lesson that we will never, ever prosecute our way out of addiction. And that's why when Mayor Dave Freed and Mayor Jeff Martin came to me and said, we've got a new program we want to do. It's called CARE, Community Addiction Recovery Effort. That was critical. Instead of putting someone in the criminal justice system, we decided to put them into treatment. And it's helped countless people. Attorney General Platkin, Governor Murphy, through their Operation Helping Hand program, have now reached out to help people so that they can get directly into treatment. And I am very proud to announce that along with Mayor Jeff Martin and his true support, Hamilton Township is going to be one of the pilot sites for the new Operation Help and Hope. And you'll be hearing about this more and more in the coming weeks. But Help and Hope is if someone doesn't have insurance, if someone doesn't have any means to get into treatment and they want to get into treatment, it will be paid for. And that's because of Mayor Jeff Martin's vision to bring that here to Hamilton. It could have already helped numerous people. It's starting in October, but there have been folks who have already come into the system that could have taken advantage of that. And we've got the warriors here from Recovery Advocates and Rich Alexander and all the groups that you see along here. They're the true warriors. They're the ones that go out all hours of the day to make sure people can get into treatment and that they have the resources, but more importantly, that they have the knowledge that somebody's out there and someone cares. Thanks for being here tonight, everyone. And let's hope we don't have to be here next year.
Thank you so much. Every year we have amazing support from our legislators, our policymakers, those who are actually trying to change the stigma and the tide for this disease and getting people the help and the funding that they need. This year is no exception. We are happy to hear from Assemblyman Verrilli, Assemblywoman Reynolds-Jackson, Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo, and I'm assuming you would like, I know I would love to have Senator Greenstein say some few words as well. So if we could proceed. Let's start with you.
God bless you. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Melissa, thank you for inviting me. Angelo, the words spoken prior to me were very impactful. You know, we had stories, data, medical, conversation. 3,000 people have died in the state of New Jersey from overdose. Okay? 3,000. You look at that, it's a number. But each one of the people in that number are people that we've lost. That's 3,000 funerals, 3,000 cases of upside down, right? We have people mourning, trauma. 3,000 people, their families, and anybody else associated with that loss of life has experienced trauma. And over the past few years, we know a lot about trauma. And how do you heal trauma? By recognizing it, dealing with it, talking about it, and moving to action. So 3,000 people, fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, aunts, uncles, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, all lost to the disease of addiction through an opioid overdose. You have so many partners here this evening. I see so many friends. You know, I stopped counting. I lost track of the people that I lost behind this opioid addiction and active addiction. Lost count. Can't put a number on it. The faces get blurred. But we're all here talking about how things can move forward and getting better. And because the people that we lost aren't here, we all as a community and as individuals and as families, we can get better by talking about it and starting our healing process. Because even though the friends that we lost and the family members that we lost due to addiction are not here, it'd be a sin and a travesty if we didn't remember them in our hearts, our souls, our words, and more importantly, our actions. You know, the white elephant in the room that nobody wanted to talk about is running rampant down the street, in the schoolyards, and throughout the municipalities in the state of New Jersey and all over the country. We need to talk about that. We have to keep talking with our partners, and not all our partners were on the same page at one time, like Angelo had said. We all have to come together collectively to make that 3,000 number go down to 2,999 and lower and lower and lower. Individually, we all do great things as groups and as people. Collectively, as a group like this, all these powerful, powerful people with money to help him with recovery or treatment, or just having a sympathetic ear to listen to some of the family members talk about their lost loved ones. That's impactful, and that may save somebody's life. I've heard somewhere before that some may die in order for others to live. Let's not lose sight of the memory of the people we lost when we're thinking about going sideways on something. If you're in recovery or in and around recovery, we can do better. We need to do better. We all have to start healing and remembering the loved ones and friends and people that we lost due to this disease, because it's not going away. You know, with heroin, fentanyl, and something, tranq, like Angelo mentioned, it's coming at us in all directions. We just have to support one another, lose the stigmas, look for resources. Money's important. look to us for legislation. Melissa blamed the Australians for International Overdose Awareness Day. In New Jersey, it was myself, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, Assemblyman D'Angelo, Linda Greenstein, and our counterparts in the legislature that made today Opioid Awareness Day in the state of New Jersey. And that's something because it means something. It has value. It's something we can talk about. So there's no stigma. We have to lose that. We got to cut the shit and get down to it, is what I'm saying. And I got a lot of friends here, and you know I all love you. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you notice, they had me sitting on the other side by myself. They always put me in timeout. But it's really a privilege to think about the people that I lost and everyone here has lost, and we can talk about it together and hopefully prevent it from happening to someone else. And thank you for allowing me to share my words tonight. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson, and that's my phenomenal partner, Anthony Varelli. And we are the Fighting 15th along with the Senator Turner. And we do. I was reflecting earlier today with someone who's lost a family, their son in recovery, and the card said, "I'm free." I was 12 when I lost my cousin, Lois, and I began to learn about what overdose was. You think about what a 12-year-old loses her cousin, my best friend, to drug overdose, and different family members going down that journey, in and out of rehab, fighting to get clean, fighting to stay clean, and it's hard. But they continue to fight, and sometimes it's just overwhelming to them, and they can't do it anymore. And so we're all here today to uplift those family members that are free. That are free. And I see T-shirts that say enough is enough. And I want you to know that as legislators, we are your advocates. I'm a social worker. I'm human. I have family, friends, loved one that is on this mission to put Melissa and Mercer Alliance out of work. We want to end this vicious cycle. We want to prevent. We want to help people in recovery. And I'm so glad that the acting commissioner is here to talk about those services and resources and those outreach efforts that we can do. Because I have one that I'm going to put out there, Commissioner, that we need funding for. And it is those alternative programs in the emergency room departments. We have one right now that's at St. Joe's University Medical Center in Patterson. But we need them all throughout the state. And it just doesn't happen because we want to will it. It happens when we all come together and we advocate and we fight for those dollars and we make it mission impossible to fund these types of programs, to save lives, to build families so that we can prevent this from happening to someone else. And so I just want to tell you that there is hope. It does. Days sometimes may go by, but the sting of losing your loved one never goes away. And so I'm going to ask you all to stay in touch with us. Prosecutor Honorfree is amazing. Your team is amazing. So that we can continue to help those receive the help when they're ready, so that they too can live and be free. But let's continue to love those that aren't here. And we want you to know that we see you and we're here to support you. And thank you for coming out this evening.
In true gentleman fashion, he's asked if you could come first. Assemblyman.
I didn't see you call me. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. I'm Senator Linda Greenstein. It's great to be here. I've been to, I think, most of these over the years that they've been held, maybe in different locations as well. And I'm always impressed with the people I meet here. And I know that many of you have relatives who are still trying to get clean and to get well. And then some of you have unfortunately lost people. And I'd say that all of us have had these experiences. I just want to tell you about my experience because I talked about it each time. This was probably although I've known people who've died of overdoses, my closest experience was my young nephew, who was about 15, who was very sick with problems from this. And I used to talk about it constantly. I would speak about his problems, and I would say I felt some responsibility to do something about it, and I would tell people. Well, I told Prosecutor Onifrey, and he introduced me to people at this very event. Some of them I think are retired by now, but they were from a few groups, but one of them was the Recovery Center of America. One was somebody named Michael. The other was John Mincarelli, who was there at that time, is no longer there. And I began to talk to them, and John met with my family, with my sister and her husband. He was willing to go to New York. My nephew is in New York. He was willing to go there to meet with my nephew. That didn't materialize, but we were able to get my nephew into a really good program. He was kicking and screaming the entire time, but he was there for a number of weeks. And my sister still attributes his recovery to having been in that program, even though he fought it like you wouldn't believe. It was a wonderful program. And over time, he began to be better. He hasn't gone to college, which was my sister's big dream, and I'm not sure he ever will. But he's a very bright young man. But he is working. He seems to like his job. He's in construction. He seems to really enjoy it. And I think that's a positive story, because that's somebody who I was really worried would die. And I wasn't going to give up, and I'm just very glad that I came to this event and met these people, and I think there's so many wonderful people here today who can help. So I would have to say never give up, no matter how bad it looks, because our situation looked pretty bad, and just keep fighting, and I hope each and every one of you will get to a point where your family member is able to do well. So thank you all very much for hearing me, and it's good to be here. Thank you.
Be leery of the last speaker and those that don't have a script in front of them, right? So thank you for giving me a couple moments to address you. My name is Wayne D'Angelo. I'm your legislative representative here in the 14th District. And I've been here far too many times. And I don't have the answer. We don't have the answer, but we're listening, right? We hear the cries from the parents, the brothers and sisters, for those that have lost family members. Right? Plain and simple. We don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. You're coming to us asking us for help, and we're saying, we don't know. We'll pass a law. What's the law going to do? We listen to the City of Angels, our friends, my buddy Kevin Mirror and John Benzavango. What do you need to do? How do we help this? You know, I have Narcan in my office, if you need it, just in case. So you get emotional because it hits every family. It's my office. It's our office. You don't know what's going to happen. So to those of us that have family members that are struggling, right, keep fighting. We're listening. We'll figure out a way to make this better. What's better? Another day, 2 days, a week, until we can figure out a way that we can overcome this, right? Your government can only do so much, right? We don't want to stand in the way. We want to give you the tools to make sure your family is okay. plain and simple. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and let's get through this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, and by the way, Angelo and I did graduate high school. He was the better looking one. He graduated in the top 10% of the class. I was the bottom 10%.
Well, thank you so much. We are so lucky to have wonderful leadership to lead this charge. Thank you so much. Is John Mingarelli here? He was supposed to be here. I just wanted to wave to him. A lot of people know John Mingarelli. I just wanted to see if he was here. We are so lucky to have Footprints in Recovery here. When I reached out to the connection we had, Nick Kratzer, for those of you who know him, he is an outgoing, wonderful man. I said, listen, I know you had your event last year. What if we combined? What if we just made this a big event and tried to love and support as many people as possible? And he didn't bat an eye, and I really appreciate that. And we are so thankful to have some speakers here from Footprints. We have Lisa Tobin. Did I say that right? Tobian? I am so sorry. But she is a clinician, correct? All right. I read your bio online, but I don't remember a bit of it, and I apologize. But we are so glad to have you. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And for those of you that are grieving the loss of a loved one, my heart breaks with you. I've lost family. I've lost friends. And worse for me is to lose colleagues who are out there fighting the fight, and they can't fight for themselves. It's difficult to accept that. And it's difficult sometimes for people that are out there fighting for others and are so distracted by wanting to help others to realize what they need for themselves. I work for Footprints to Recovery. I oversee our Wisdom Warrior program, which is 35 and older. They say that's the older group, which I don't know who came up with that. I don't believe in that. I also oversee our military and our first responder program. Two groups of people that years ago we didn't recognize had mental health and addiction issues. And when I could tell you, if I could tell you some of the stories that are shared by some of these people in my group, it would bring us all back to tears. It's heartbreaking. And they put themselves out there time and time again, and they don't think about anything else but all the people that they're out there to protect. So for any of you out there that are from military, EMTs, law enforcement, firefighters, police officers, thank you so much. And please know that we do not judge. We have a group, and it's the most supportive group that I've ever ran in 20 years of being in these working in this field. A lot of stories and a lot of people really starting to heal. Because initially we would put people into detox, if we put them into treatment at all, and then we would send them home. And we know now, most of us, that's not the answer. There's so much more going on underneath there. From the addiction, there's grief, there's relationships, there's childhood issues, there's so much trauma. And there's even depression and anxiety. And there's nobody sitting out here that can tell me they've never experienced anxiety or depression in their life. We've all experienced it. The program that I work for, we provide mental health and addiction services. I love what I do. I love the clients that I work for. We see people make significant progress. We've seen people come back in, and guess what? We're glad that they do, and that we're not reading about them in the newspaper. I travel an hour and a half, and I remind my boss every week when I get there and I have to fight the traffic from LBI. Oh, I hate driving here. But 20 years, I love what I do because we give the opportunity for our clients to be part of their treatment, and that's so important. And one of the important parts that I oversee also in our treatment is our family support group, which, by the way, I'm missing right now. I had to put a fill in there. But for the families out there, I never realized after working in the field for so long, all the pieces started to come to me in my past 4 years at Footprints, that there's so many pieces to the puzzle. We think it's just like a one size fits all. And I've learned, and I'm still learning, that there's so many other pieces to this puzzle. And for the family members, I have a brother 25 years in recovery. My family still won't acknowledge it. They never did. I thank God that I'm in this field. At least he has somebody to talk to. He's in for surgery this morning, and I said, please remind him that you can't have pain medications, right? He has nobody in my family to talk to because we were silent about it. So I know as a family member the difficulty. But I also know from my family support group that when family members do get involved and support their loved ones, it really adds so much more to their recovery and to their treatment. Even if it's just a phone call to just let them know that their loved one is doing well, and for me to go back and tell the loved one, guess what? Your mom, your dad, your sister, your spouse just called to check in on you. And the smiles, they need that. I know it's difficult sometimes time and time again. With every relapse, we become like, oh, all right, don't call me until you're done. That's not what's going to be helpful. Boundaries are important. We all know that. But I will tell you, the support of the family is so important because we cannot control the outcome, and we know that, and that's the unfortunate part of this disease. We deal with it so much. But I will tell you this, that if we treat people, our loved ones and the people in the community, the way that they need to be treated with respect and dignity, if, God forbid, they become one of the statistics, I will tell you this, you will be at peace with yourself, that you took care of them and you did everything that you could to help them. Thank you very much, and have a good night. And thank you for letting me speak. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you so much.
So it is wonderful to get to know everyone in this field, the recovery centers, just the different areas, and just the wonderful people that I meet. And I'm really happy that I've met this next speaker. This is Anthony Pasillo. He is a straight shooter. He is passionate and kind, and is a very, very, very hard worker. If you didn't get a purple ribbon, make sure you get one, because he put a lot of love into those. So without further ado, Anthony. He is the Alumni and Community Relations Coordinator for Footprints, and I know he has a big cheering section all his own. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Everybody want me to just go for it?
Yeah.
All right.
If you can keep it up. Whatever.
I'll keep it under, I got you.
All right.
Alrighty, hi guys. As Melissa said, my name's Anthony. I'm the Alumni and Community Relations Coordinator at Footprints to Recovery. It's about 10 minutes away from here. I'm going to touch on Footprints real quick before I touch on an experience I had with Overdose with one of my close friends. So I was a client at Footprints for about a year and 2 months, leading up. It was 2 weeks before my 21st birthday that I went into treatment, and it was probably the best thing that I could do because things were heading downhill really quickly. I'm 23 now. You know, you're never too young to get sober. You're never too old to get sober. But, you know, Footprints is a place that helped me flourish. You know, I struggled with, you know, just a lot as a kid. I had a lot of unsolved, you know, mental issues that I never really looked into. My family wasn't 100% on board with getting in therapy. You know, the usual, oh, it's all in your head, it's all in your head, it's all in your head. Fortunate enough, I've been in therapy now for probably over 12 years. I started in anger management therapy. I went to individual therapy, and, you know, before that, I went to Footprints. With that, I'm going to shout her out because I know she's over there hiding. Adriana, she was my prior therapist, gone director here. I can't thank you enough for the, you know, the opportunity at life you brought me. I know she's not going to take credit and be like, no, it's you. You did all the work. I'm so proud of you. But I'm really grateful for you. I appreciate you a lot. Touching on Overdose, January 25th, 2019, I got a call at 2:43 in the morning. My close coworker, I work at a restaurant part-time. Her boyfriend called me on Facebook Messenger, and he was freaking the fuck out. It was crazy. I couldn't understand one thing he was saying. My coworker, I'm not gonna say her name obviously, but she was overdosing on the floor, took an oxy. Narcaned her 2 times. They weren't able to call the police, so called me through Facebook Messenger on Wi-Fi. I then called the police. The police got there, and it was probably one of the most scariest experiences I ever had in my life. I was 19. I was so young, and I didn't know much about addiction. It was, maybe it was foreseeing the future of me going into treatment, but I can tell you that, the feeling I experienced, I know so many people here have, and it's the worst feeling ever. So when we have events like this, it's really nice, be a part of a community that truly understands, hearing someone overdosed or, witnessing an overdose itself. It's something that you'll never unsee or, unhear. I can't express, the gratitude for the community I've been surrounded with now. I'm not going to touch on horror stories because you guys have heard horror stories 10 times over. I'm trying to look forward to the positive, and, this is a really important event. I want everyone here to have a good time and, build relationships that, you never, with all walks of life, because we all relate in one way or another. I've been at Footprints now for about 7 months. I have the most wonderful team. My leaders, shout out Nick and Will back there, Dave Till. I'm so grateful for you guys guiding and coaching me through this entire process. Giving me a job at 22 years old at the time, I was so fortunate because I never thought that I would work in treatment. I dropped out of college a few times, hopped back and forth between majors, never thought I'd end up working in treatment. And now the same people that, gave me the gift of life, I'm able to, give back to them just, on the other side of the chair in a staff member role. I learn something new every day from each and every person in that building, whether they have 2 days sober or they have 7 months sober, techs, case managers. It's crazy how much I learn every day. And I can't stand speaking in front of people, but, Melissa, thank you, talked to Nick, and then Nick asked me to speak. And so I was like, okay, this is good. Because, the more I'm uncomfortable, the more I'm learning and growing. And, this entire process from going to treatment, taking on my sobriety, I just feel like a better version of myself every single day. I have my good days and my bad days, but it's truly wonderful seeing, and learning something each and every single day. I'm going to shout out a few people who are no longer with us. I was clients with them in treatment, and I was also a staff member, once they discharged from the program. So I want to shout out Chloe, who's no longer here with us, Coop, who's no longer here with us, Killian, Kelly, Caroline, Monica. These are all really wonderful people. Bailey, who, I should have named off the top. Truly wonderful people that had so much, so much to give in this world, but, couldn't make it themselves. Inspires me to help as many people as I can, do it to the best of my ability. I may not win all the time, but I do my best each and every single day to, be there for the people that were also there for me. So, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much, beautiful. You're not getting rid of me after this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to bug you. So they say last but not least, we're in our 7th year here at Mercer County. We were one of the first in New Jersey, not the first, but one of the first. And it was all under the beautiful vision of Justine. Justine Franks, for those of you who don't know her, is a force for good, an emphasis on the word force. And through her, one of our first keynote speakers at one of our first events here in Mercer County was a beautiful family who had lost their son, Nick. And this year, we felt that we needed to invite them back. When I was talking to Eileen and just helping her get ready for tonight, I said, you know, the first time you saw us, it was very new. There were a lot of things you were learning in this new club that nobody wants to be a part of. But now it's been 7 years. What have you learned? What do you wish you had known then? What support can we give? How can we help others? And she said, one of the things that she said is, I want people to remember my son. And that is one of our goals. So without further ado, our lovely speaker, Eileen Harris.
Needs to stand a little. Hi, everybody. This is our son, Nicholas. A few people that were supposed to come tonight couldn't come, and one of them is Joe Ritchie, who we've been friends with and known a long time. And he asked me if I would just please read something that he had written. So I'm going to start with that. If you didn't know Nick Harris, you missed out on a beautiful opportunity. Nick lit up a room as soon as he walked in with his smile and his jokes. He was a ball buster. I've spent many sleepless nights with Nick, talking with him through his struggles when we both lived in Florida. I watched him work hard to get his GED, but he fell short. Unfortunately, nobody wants to get this phone call. I remember getting the bang on my door that Nick was dead. I raced over to his house. I watched a family's nightmare. Nick, you will forever be here, even though you're gone. Your humor has left a memory no one can steal. Our friendship will live forever. 100. Joe Ritchie. The last time we stood here was the first Overdose Awareness Day event. It was only weeks after my son Nicky's accidental overdose. He was only 23 years old. As difficult as it was, I did it because overdose was still not spoken of openly, and yet overdose was touching many lives. Some of you may have heard my story 7 years ago. Nicky battled addiction for 5 to 6 years and was in and out of rehabs in Florida. Our insurance company would no longer cover his stay, and he said he was ready to leave. That he had all the skills that he needed. And so he came home. We were not happy with the decision because we knew that this was not the end of his using drugs. We spent time as a family. He reunited with his brother and spent his first weekend at Island State Park. We were scheduled to go again the following Sunday with family and friends. The evening prior, we had family dinner. We were swimming around the pool, and then the boys all went to a meeting. After that, they went to Mike Sicardi's for pizza. Later, his brother went home with friends, and Nick said goodnight to us down by the pool and went to bed. Everything seemed great. In the morning, while preparing everything for the beach, it crossed my mind that Nick should be awake. But I thought, just let him sleep a little longer. I asked one of my other son David's friends, Chris, if he would mind going up to wake him up. And I heard him scream my name. When I got there, I found him blue, and I knew he was gone. Something I will never forget. This is every parent's nightmare. Mike Sicardi, John Micarelli, Joe Ritchie, they were always present when Nick needed support. Like I mentioned, Nick had actually been with them earlier that evening prior. Life was a bit of a blur after that. After Nick's death, I remember speaking to Kevin Muir from City of Angels, who had lost his son. He told me, don't get sucked into the black hole that could consume you. Many times I felt myself in that hole, but I heard those words echo in my head, and again, I crawled myself out of that black hole. The life and grief after loss can ruin many lives. It is an unfathomable place to exist. You must talk to those who care and accept support. Don't be afraid to tell your story. Others have been there. Fathers, siblings, aunts, cousins, grandparents grieve too. Talk to your spouse when you're sad, angry, or whatever it is you feel. They're probably feeling the same way. Often people are afraid to mention your loved ones to you, but you should tell stories about their loved ones. I know I enjoy hearing my family and friends talking about things Nick did because it keeps him alive to me. I still get angry at him sometimes when we're celebrating a special occasion, holidays, especially Christmas Eve, which was his favorite holiday. I see his brother and his cousins engaging in fun, wishing he was here. I pause and think, Nicky should be having fun too. I can be at a wedding and sadness just comes over me because I think I'm never going to see Nicky get married or have children. Weeks after Nicky died, my oldest son David called me and said him and his fiance wanted to talk to both of us. When were we going to come home? I froze, thinking, what else? My husband and I went home, and they were sitting on the couch waiting for us. It seemed it was all good news for a change. It seemed a message from God. Megan, his fiance at the time, was pregnant. We were elated, and I felt Nick sent us a gift to keep us going. It was the hope we needed to live for. Months later, my little angel Peyton was born. She is what keeps us going. We as a family stick tight together. That is the only way we survive. Every person deals with addiction in their own way. They deal with recovery in their own way, and family members deal in their own way. There is no cookie cutter fix. Support that works for each individual in recovery. The same is said for bereavement. Supporting the opportunities for recovery can help lead to the prevention of overdoses. Everyone deserves an opportunity. I am grateful for our prosecutor, Angelo Onofre, who I first met here 7 years ago. Clearly, he has played a crucial role with his collaborative efforts to move Mercer County and Hamilton in the right direction. Thank you for being such an advocate for the necessary resources related to addiction and crime prevention. I would also like to mention that others suffer as well. It could be our police officers that are out there, the EMTs. My niece Amanda serves in another role that's often not recognized. Once an EMT, she's now a funeral director. She also deals with the aftermath of this overdose epidemic. Don't think for a minute that they are not immune to what they see. I will leave you with this. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not there to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you, and each time that you think of me, I'll know you'll miss me too. But when tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by my hand and said my place was ready. In heaven, far above, and that I have to leave behind, all those I dearly love. So won't you come and take my hand and share my life with me? So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart, for every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thank you both so much. Thank you for sharing Nick with us.
Thank you.
So this concludes the formal part of our program. We're going to conclude the evening with our candlelight vigil and a moment of silence and singing of Amazing Grace. Please join us in the back for the candlelight vigil. Thank you.
Merrill Reese, here to tell you about my good friends at Haldeman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldeman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldeman does in their huge, state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldeman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldeman for sales and service. Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Hi, this is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I'm proud to help sponsor today's show and promote what's happening in our community. All residents of your hometown should stay involved and participate in community activities, whether it's volunteering to help make your town clean, or volunteering at the animal shelter, or helping at a local youth event. Staying involved in your community makes your hometown a great place to live. This is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Hi, this is Mayor Jeff Martin of Hamilton Township, inviting you to tune in to our monthly radio show, This Month in Hamilton. Video stream live the fourth Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. at WBCB1490.com. We will be featuring various guests from Hamilton Township to keep you up to date on what's going on in Hamilton.
Capital Health's primary care network continues to grow, bringing its extensive option of locations to your neighborhood. Whether you're scheduling a wellness checkup or not feeling well, advanced medicine starts with a Capital Health primary care doctor at locations near you in Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. To find a Capital Health primary care location that's convenient for you, visit capitalmedicalgroup.org. That's capitalmedicalgroup.org.
Hi, this is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I'm proud to help sponsor today's show and promote what's happening in our community. All residents of your hometown should stay involved and participate in community activities, whether it's volunteering to help make your town clean, or volunteering at the animal shelter, or helping at a local youth event. Staying involved in your community makes your hometown a great place to live. This is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Hi, this is Mayor Jeff Martin of Hamilton Township, inviting you to tune in to our monthly radio show, This Month in Hamilton. Video stream live the fourth Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. at WBCB1490.com. We will be featuring various guests from Hamilton Township to keep you up to date on what's going on in Hamilton.
Welcome back, and thank you for listening in and watching the ceremonies here today. There were some incredibly powerful speeches, not only about efforts that are underway to address the overdose epidemic, but also personal stories that give us hope that there can be recovery. I'm honored to be joined by my friend, Senator Linda Greenstein, who chairs the Senate Law and Public Safety Committee. And Senator, you shared today a very personal story about hope and help that started right here 7 years ago.
It certainly did. It was 7 years ago, and I thank you, Prosecutor. I thank you because I think you're the one that kind of set the whole thing in motion by introducing me to people. And you introduced me first to the people from the Recovery Centers of America. I knew nothing about the group. And I began to speak to them about my nephew in New York, who I was so worried about, who was in and out of hospitals and all kinds of things in terms of taking various drugs. Nobody knew what to do, and everybody was feeling hopeless. Well, it started when one of the people from the recovery centers, can I say his name?
Yes.
John Mincarelli.
He gets upset when you don't say his name,
okay,
Senator.
Good. Met with us at the Americana Diner up in East Windsor. We talked for an hour or two, and he really got to get a good picture of what was going on there. He was going to visit with my nephew, and that somehow didn't materialize. But what did was, I was put in contact with an excellent rehab center, a treatment center, and my son went into the center, my nephew, went into that place kicking and screaming, and he stayed there for the whole, whatever it was, 6 weeks. And my sister attributes the fact that he was able to turn a corner and get better, really. Certainly he's not perfect, but he's a lot better because of that experience in that rehab center. He is now working in construction, and he loves it. He just really enjoys it. And as I mentioned earlier, although my sister always had it in her head that her only child would go to college, that apparently is not going to happen. He's very happy with his construction job. She's okay with that finally, because every time she says otherwise, I tell her it's great. It just really is great that he likes his job. And I'm just very happy because I used to think we might lose him. I truly did. And I think everybody who goes through these things, in this case I'm an aunt, he's my nephew, but no matter what you go through, you really aren't sure the person is going to survive. You're not sure how to help them survive. And somehow or other it began to fall into place. So I'm happy about that for sure.
Senator, how has that personal experience impacted you as you vote on legislation and introduce legislation and host hearings on it about the recovery effort?
Well, clearly there is no question in my mind that things need to be done, whether it's the Narcan or programs of other sorts. I feel very strongly about it, and anytime I see a bill about that subject, I want to be part of it. I feel that anything we do is going to help. So I think it's affected me that way. I'm just very glad to be part of the process.
And we're glad you're there in Trenton fighting for us and fighting for these programs statewide. Senator, we're here today, and you saw the whole host of people that were here. What do nights like tonight mean to you?
Well, I truly am extremely impressed with how many groups there are. Each and every one of them is organized. They have all sorts of materials with them, and there are so many of them. There are multiple groups really on the same topic. So what it means to me is that there's a lot of help out there for people. Based on my experience that started right here at this event 5 years ago, anybody who's here that has a problem could find somebody to talk to. And they probably should start with you.
Well, thanks, Senator. It's always great when we can get people together like this, and not only to hear about the resources that are available, but that there's people here who care. And
there's no question about it. If there's one trait I think everybody has in common, it's that they sincerely care about the issue. They want to help people, and I think just like Mr. Mincarelli did, they'll go out of their way on a weekend. They'll do whatever it takes to assist. So
it is a mission, and it's a mission of love and a mission to give back for what they've received. Senator, as always, it's a pleasure seeing you.
Same here.
And thanks for being here tonight, as you always are, to support and to show your support for the recovery movement.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you're working on this, and there are so many good people who are as well.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you.
Always great seeing you.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have with us this evening a very good friend of mine. We were high school classmates, graduated together. My good friend, Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo. Thanks, Senator. Okay, Senator.
I'll see you tomorrow at 9.
Good to see you. Assemblyman, welcome. Great seeing you as always.
How are you, sir?
Doing well.
All's good?
Doing well. Can't believe it's been 40 years since we graduated from high school together.
My God, I can't believe 40 years. We're old guys now.
We really are.
You can tell by counting the rings on my forehead that how many years we've been graduated.
I can relate to that. Assemblyman, during your remarks tonight, you mentioned, and I think this is incredibly progressive and has and very insightful, that you actually have Narcan in your office.
Yes. So I've learned over the past couple years, seeing individuals that are struggling with addiction. You talk to them. You have meetings with them. You can say anything to them. You can make various threats to them or assistance to them, but it doesn't resolve the matter, right? I've seen people who were not addicted to anything. Men and women who were outside and they're hunting and fall out of a tree stand, and the next thing you know, they go and they break their neck and they're going through therapy and they become addicted to opiates, right? Whether it's in your legislative office or your office, you don't know. And you can talk to people, but you have to make sure, and I want to make sure that that they're okay, that their family's going to be okay, and I'm not going to use any restrictions to keep them alive.
And that's really one of the big things that I think everyone can take out of tonight, that everyone's talking about this. Mm-hmm. It can happen to anyone. And our legislators, the governor, everyone's talking about it. So it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to admit that you or a loved one, a friend has an issue, because there's help and resources available.
I mean, everybody, if you think about it, everyone's going to admit it. They have, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, they know someone that has a problem, right? And it's okay. Whether the problem is self-inflicted or the problem is from a medical issue, they still have that problem. And it's okay. We have to work with them to resolve this issue, because it's a medical issue, and whether it's self-created or it's not, we have to help them.
Assemblyman, one of your colleagues, Dan Benson, mm-hmm. Senator Linda Greenstein, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, Assemblyman Varelli, Senator Turner, have all been at the forefront in fighting this fentanyl battle. What are we seeing from the legislature in order to address fentanyl, because it's killing more and more and more people every year?
Right. So one of the things I think, especially legislatively, we hold an office, and we're not experts in everything. We're elected by the public. to act on their behalf. And sometimes there are those people that are knowledgeable about issues, and there's those that have no knowledge on them and shake their heads and they don't understand it. So as individuals like them get involved, and they spend that time to educate other individuals in the legislature, the other 80 members in the assembly, and the 40 members in the General Assembly, and the governor, and we get everybody on board to better understand this so we can better fight this issue. It's very simple that way. It's hard to be an expert on everything, but when someone spends the time with you and talks to you and tells you this is what you need to do and why, right? Not embarrass you, not put you in a situation where you don't know what they're talking about. Because listen, we laugh about it. You knock on someone's door and say, listen, you're paying too much for taxes. Everyone's going to say yes. What do you want to pay? They don't know. When you ask somebody, do we have an opioid problem? Yes. What do we do? They don't know. So they look to us to use our resources and the expertise of other people in our community to make sure that we can resolve these matters. And I believe everything is fixable. We just have to invest that time and resources for individuals like yourself and me.
Yep, absolutely. Assemblyman, thanks for joining us today. As always, it's great to see you. Good seeing you, my friend.
All right, take care.
And if we can, I think our last guest would be the new chief of the Hamilton Police Department, Chief Ken Dubosky. Welcome, Chief. Chief, welcome, and to your first International Opioid Overdose Awareness Day. And personally, I wanted to thank you for everything that the Hamilton Police Department has done to make tonight such a success.
Well, I appreciate that, sir, and I appreciate the invitation to conduct an interview, and happy to be here. And this is such an impressive event. It was almost heartbreaking to see and hear some of the family members tell their stories, and realize what an impact addiction has on just the community in general. And I'm so happy to be here.
And Hamilton really has been at the forefront of the initiative to say that there's other alternatives, and Hamilton's going to be one of the pilot sites for Operation Help and Hope, where if someone comes in and they need to get into treatment but don't have the resources, there will be funding available. Hamilton being one of only 6 municipalities in the state that qualifies. And I know your officers have been very, very active in this. They've been active in the community. You've been trying to reach young people earlier and earlier through Safety Town and the Police Athletic League, which you're a big supporter of. What do you see? What are you hearing from your officers about what they're seeing out in the community?
Well, they're certainly seeing a lot of the death and destruction from addiction that we've had detailed here so eloquently tonight. And my officers are the ones out there responding to overdoses. They're the ones that are deploying the Narcan, and a lot of them are deeply affected by what they're seeing, and they're looking for ways to help the community. And I think this is going to be a great program. And in partnership with that, if I can take the opportunity to mention to your listeners that the Hamilton Police Division is going to be instituting a program soon, as we've spoken about, where in partnership with City of Angels and in partnership with Recovery Advocates of America, we're going to have the ability to contact a counselor to respond to the police department whenever we have contact with a person who is suffering from addiction. And that could come from an arrest, most likely, or we could be responding for family member to an overdose, anything along those lines, and being able to provide counseling services immediately. And it could serve to interrupt this addiction cycle for a lot of the people that we have contact with. And I think that's a program that's got a lot of potential, and hopefully that'll be instituted over the next couple of months.
I completely agree with you, Chief. I've been at the prosecutor's office now for over 26 and a half years. And I never thought that I would be, if you caught someone with drugs, your job was to prosecute them from my office's perspective and from your perspective to arrest them. That's really changed because I think we've all come to the realization that we will never arrest or prosecute our way out of addiction.
Yeah, that is such a wise point, sir. And I go back to I remember when I first became a police officer. I have you beat. Tomorrow will be 35 years for me.
Congratulations.
And I remember going back. I started actually on the road in December of 1988, which was at the tail end of the crack wars, and which led into there was an earlier opioid epidemic in the 1990s. That predates the current one. And at the time, that's exactly what society's focus was on, the war on drugs, attempting to prosecute our way out of addiction, which is, in retrospect, really, really foolish. There is certainly a law enforcement component in this to break the addiction cycle, but clearly we can't arrest our way out of it. At the time when I was on the road, when we were dealing with addicts, there was that stigma. There was, kind of a disdain that we would look down upon with those who were suffering from addiction, which was completely, inappropriate and ineffective. And I'm glad that society has come around to look at, we have the law enforcement angle when it comes to heroin infractions and so on, but we also have the recovery angle that we're working on now. And then the third part of that is also the educational angle, like we have with our LEADS program in the schools that you mentioned earlier, that begins with Safety Town in kindergarten level and goes through second grade and fourth grade and sixth grade, so that we can reach impressionable young kids at an age where hopefully we can steer them away from getting into the addiction cycle in the first place. So a comprehensive approach is the only thing that's going to work to finally break this opioid cycle that we're in, and I'm happy to play my part in it.
Well, we're glad that you're on the team, Chief, and thank you for your vision. And again, thank you for being such a great host here tonight in Hamilton.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much,
Chief.
Prosecutor.
Always love working with you. Everyone, I'm going to turn it back over to Gus, and I just want to thank my friends at WBCB for being here tonight and for everything they do in the community to highlight a lot of the positives, not only what Mayor Martin and Mayor Gussiora are doing, but also what's going on in the schools and high school sports. So we thank you for that. Gus, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Take care.
And what a fantastic night it was, getting everybody to go up and be able to speak and tell their story, and just having all the support around here, and just a fantastic night. Thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. Angela Onifrey himself, the Mercer County Prosecutor, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, and the Township of Hamilton and Mayor Jeff Martin. Thank you to all of our sponsors for making today possible. And thank you for everybody tuning in and making a difference tonight and trying to have a positive impact going forward. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.